started with a simple night out. Just the two of us and our group of friends, heading to this run-down dive bar on the edge of town. The kind of place where the bartender doesn't care about fake IDs, where the floors are sticky, the lighting's bad, and the jukebox still plays songs no one remembers the lyrics to. But that was the plan. A couple of drinks, some music, a little dancing. Nothing out of the ordinary. And for a while, everything was fine. We laughed, we sang, we danced even though we didn't know the words. Drinks flowed, conversations blurred, the usual. Evan, my best friend, stepped outside for a smoke. A few others in our group smoked too, but they stayed in, caught up in some song they loved. I didn't feel like standing out in the cold with him, so Evan went out alone. There were so many people around. People coming and going, a group shouting at each other, even a fight breaking out in the parking lot. There were eyes everywhere. And yet, Evan still disappeared. No one saw him leave. No one saw him come back. Apparently, I was the only one who saw him step outside. He was gone. For an entire week. I loved Evan. He was more than my best friend. He was my person. The one who always knew what I was thinking before I did. We met in kindergarten. I was the shy new boy. He shared his juice box with me at lunch and never left my side again. People joked we'd get married someday. Didn't happen. He helped me get my first girlfriend instead. He always knew what I wanted before I could say it. When Evan disappeared, I looked everywhere. I checked my phone obsessively, called, texted. I even went to the clubhouse we built when we were kids. Our secret place, hidden deep in the woods. I knew it was stupid, but something told me to check. That's the only reason I'm telling you about it now, because it doesn't matter anymore. He was gone for 7 days, and then he just came back. Same clothes, same shirt he wore at the bar, soaked in beer and sweat. His arm was cut and bandaged, but he wouldn't tell me what happened. And more importantly, he wasn't Evan. He stopped answering my texts like he used to. He stopped laughing the way I remember. He used to wake up at 4 a.m., hit the gym, organize his entire day. Now, he sleeps until noon and wanders around the apartment at night, pacing, talking to himself, not whispering, talking. He doesn't blink. He stares at nothing for hours. Once I caught him in front of the TV at 3 a.m. The screen was black. He was just sitting there, staring at his own reflection, and mine behind him. When I texted him to meet me at the old playground, our spot since 4th grade, he replied, "Where's that again?" He forgot. Evan doesn't forget. He remembers birthdays. He remembers conversations from years ago. He remembers that I only drink coffee in the morning and forget to hydrate, so he used to hand me a water bottle before I left for work. But now, he forgot where our spot is.
I tried to ignore it, tried to convince myself I was overthinking it, but the signs kept piling up. When we went to visit his parents, he didn't sit down once, just kept walking around the house staring at the family photos like he didn't recognize anyone in them, not even himself. He even asked his mom about a beach trip we all took our junior year, asked if she remembered it differently. Then he laughed, this dry, clipped thing, a sound I'd never heard come from him before. His mom just smiled, said it was probably stress. She's just happy to have him back. But I know better, because that wasn't his laugh. And then one night I got up to use the bathroom and there he was again, sitting in front of the TV, not watching, just staring, eyes dark, unblinking. When I asked him about it the next morning, he looked at me like I was crazy, said, "I wasn't gone, Dolly." I asked again, and he just repeated it. "I wasn't gone, Dolly." But he was. I know he was. I even brought it up to my mom at dinner. She got quiet, said I shouldn't speak that way about Evan's misfortunes. What misfortunes? She wouldn't answer. And Evan, he started watching me differently after that, like I was being studied. So I went into his room. I waited until he left, then snuck in. I wasn't trying to be nosy, I just needed proof. Something to show people, so they'd believe me. But I wasn't ready for what I found. No bed, just dirt. A pile of it, like he sleeps on the ground. Blackout curtains, zero sunlight, and the smell. Rot. Death.
That's when I remembered. The clubhouse isn't just a hangout. We built it for a reason. There are 3 secrets only Evan and I share. The playground. The clubhouse. The girl I killed in high school. She's buried beneath the clubhouse. We never told anyone. We visit the spot every time we go, leave flowers, say we're sorry. Well, we did. Now I realize something else. It's going to be hard to leave flowers at 2 graves that are miles apart. Because I didn't mean to kill Evan. I was drunk. I was angry. I don't even remember why. But I smashed a bottle over his head, and I buried him beneath the clubhouse. I thought I got away with it. But now, I'm sitting at the old playground. I've never been here during the day before. The rust has eaten through the swing set. One of the chains is broken. The teeter-totter is half buried in weeds. And the dirt mound under the slide? It's disturbed, like someone crawled out. He's staring at me now, from across the playground, not moving, not blinking. That's not Evan. I don't know what it is, but it's wearing his face.
I remember the first time I saw the house on Dry Creek Road. It was barely visible from the main road, buried under wild oak trees, with overgrown grass reaching halfway up the rusted mailbox. The place had sat empty for years. At least, that's what people said. The story, as most folks around Pinefield told it, was that a woman named Bethany Adair used to live there. Quiet, kept to herself, worked at the library part-time, no family, no boyfriend anyone knew of. Then one day she just vanished. No signs of struggle, no forced entry. Her car was still in the garage. Her cat was left without food, gone like a puff of smoke. That was 5 years ago. People stopped talking about it. The police shrugged it off eventually. Bethany Adair became one more unsolved case in a town that didn't like to dwell on bad things. Until now. My name's Lena Maris, and I never thought I'd end up back here. Pinefield. Population 4,120. I left after high school, promised I'd never return. But then my brother Zach called. He sounded shaken, paranoid even.
Lena, I need you to come home. Something's happening at the house next to mine.
Zach had just moved into a fixer-upper. Guess where? Dry Creek Road. When I pulled into town, everything felt smaller, dimmer. The diner still had the same crooked open sign, and Mrs. Wilkes still walked her 3 legless chihuahuas around the town square every morning. Zach's house was at the far end of the road. The old Adair place loomed through the trees to the left. Broken windows, sagging porch, paint peeled off like dead skin. He was waiting on the porch. Pale, thinner than I remembered. He hadn't shaved in days. We sat in his kitchen while he made us weak coffee and told me everything.
It started with noises.
He said.
Footsteps. At night. Lights flickering in the windows.
I asked if maybe it was teens, some local kids messing around. He shook his head.
I thought that too, so I went over there last week.
He didn't get far. The porch gave out under his foot, and he'd had to crawl out. But just before it did, he saw something. A light on in the back room, and what looked like someone standing in the hallway. I offered to go over there myself the next day. Just to look. Maybe put this all to rest. That night I had trouble sleeping. I couldn't stop thinking about Bethany Adair. I remembered her, vaguely. I was 13 when she disappeared. Quiet woman, pale, always wore long sleeves. My mom used to say, some people were meant to live invisible. Guess she was one of them. I watched Zach from the guest room window. He hadn't gone to bed, just stood by the kitchen window, staring out into the trees, toward the house next door. The next morning, we walked over together. The house looked worse up close. Weeds had eaten through the front steps, and a heavy chain hung loosely from the porch rail, like someone had tried to lock it, then gave up. I pushed the door open. It creaked, the sound of something old being disturbed. Inside, the air was still, heavy with mildew and something sharper, something like iron. We stepped carefully. The wallpaper was peeling. The floorboards groaned under our weight. There were piles of old mail near the door, yellowed, curled at the edges, most of it addressed to Bethany. I moved toward the hallway, the one Zach said he saw someone in. And that's when I noticed the mirror. It was on the wall near the staircase, cracked and speckled with mold. But the weird part? It wasn't reflecting me, just the wall behind me. No movement, no shape, nothing where I should have been. I took a step back, blinked, looked again. Now it worked. My reflection, right there, pale, wide-eyed, breathing heavy. I didn't say anything to Zach. We checked the rest of the house. Nothing upstairs, nothing in the basement, just decay, mold, and old memories that didn't belong to us. We left around noon. Zach locked the door behind us, even though there was no one to keep out. That night, I couldn't sleep again. Around 2 a.m., I got up to grab a glass of water, and from the kitchen window I saw it. A light, in the hallway of the Adair house, and someone, a woman, standing perfectly still in the window, watching me. The next morning, I walked back over to the Adair house alone. Zach had gone into town for supplies, and frankly, I didn't want to tell him what I'd seen. Not yet. Not until I was sure. The door creaked louder this time, like it knew I was coming. The air inside had changed. It felt wrong. Still cold, but not from temperature. The kind of cold that sits beneath your skin, like you've been watched for too long. I went straight to the mirror by the stairs. This time, my reflection was there. Sort of. Blurry, unfocused, like I was behind glass underwater. When I leaned in, the face in the mirror leaned closer, but not exactly in sync. It was delayed, a half second behind. And then, it smiled. I didn't. I stumbled back, heart pounding, blinked. When I looked again, everything was normal. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just been smiled at by someone else. I turned away, ready to leave, when I saw the hallway door was open. We'd shut every door before leaving. I was sure of it. And there it was now, slightly ajar, revealing just enough darkness to hint at something waiting beyond it. I should have left. Instead, I opened the door and stepped inside. The hallway was narrow, too narrow. It felt like walking through a throat, the wallpaper curling like peeling skin, floors swollen with moisture. I counted 6 doors, 3 on each side, but only one was cracked open. The smell was worse here, stronger, metallic. I pushed the door open. Inside was a small room, empty except for a chair in the middle. And on the wall, another mirror. This one was worse. It had deep scratches across the surface, like someone had tried to claw their way through it. I turned to leave, but paused, because from the corner of my eye, in the mirror, I saw Bethany Adair. I didn't know how I knew it was her. Maybe from those faded missing posters, the hollow cheeks, the straight dark hair, the way she stood, not hunched, not afraid, just still, watching. I spun around. The room was empty, but when I turned back to the mirror, she was closer. Her mouth moved, just a little. I leaned in. Her lips formed words I couldn't hear, and then the mirror cracked. Just a hairline split, right between her eyes. I bolted. Back at Zach's, I didn't say a word. I just went to the bathroom and stared at myself in the mirror for 10 minutes, making sure I was still me. That night, Zach made spaghetti. We sat on the couch and watched reruns like nothing was wrong. I almost convinced myself I'd imagined everything, until he paused the TV mid-laugh and said,
You know she's not the only one who went missing.
I turned to him. Who? He scratched the back of his neck, uneasy.
A guy named Thomas Red. Disappeared 3 years ago. Stayed in town a few weeks. Rented a room from Mrs. Kersey up the road. One day, poof. Left his clothes, wallet, everything behind.
I looked at him. He was connected to the Adair house? Zach hesitated.
Not officially, but some folks said he was seen poking around over there. Mrs. Kersey said he kept asking questions about Bethany.
I couldn't sleep. Again. I went back to the house around midnight. This time, I brought a flashlight and a notebook. I needed answers. I made it back to the hallway. The mirror room was empty again. I scribbled a few details: number of doors, Bethany's appearance, scratch marks on the mirror. Then I saw it. The door at the far end of the hallway, the one that had been shut, was open. There was something about it. The way the darkness inside seemed to breathe, like it was alive. I stepped in. This room was different, newer. The floor didn't creak. The walls weren't peeling. It smelled like lavender. There was a desk, neat, organized, a corkboard above it, covered in newspaper clippings and photos. Every clipping was about missing persons, dozens of them. Some from Pinefield, some from nearby counties, some going back 20 years. And in the middle, pinned dead center, was a photo of Bethany Adair, and beneath it, in handwritten ink, "The mirror keeps them." I stepped back. What the hell did that mean? I took a photo with my phone. Flash on, and for a split second, in that burst of light, I saw something reflected in the window. Someone standing behind me. But when I turned around, no one. Back at Zach's, I showed him the picture. He stared at it for a long time.
Whoever put that wall together, it's like they're keeping track.
He looked up at me.
What if Bethany wasn't the only one pulled into that house?
We decided to go to the sheriff's office the next day. We never made it, because that night, Zach disappeared. I woke up to silence. Zach's bed hadn't been slept in. His phone was still charging on the nightstand. His shoes were by the door. His jacket, the brown one with the ripped sleeve, was gone. At first, I told myself he went out for air, maybe a walk, but he didn't answer his phone, didn't leave a note. And I knew. I just knew. The Adair house. I ran there without thinking. No shoes. Just grabbed a flashlight and bolted through the overgrowth. I didn't knock. Didn't hesitate. Inside, the house was colder than before. Still. Too still. I called his name again and again. Nothing. But something else answered. A sound. Scraping. Not loud. Just slow. Deliberate. Coming from upstairs. I climbed the steps, one hand on the rail, the other holding the flashlight. The scraping continued. Louder. Closer. At the end of the hallway was a bedroom. The master, maybe. The door was cracked open. The sound was coming from there. When I pushed it open, I saw the source. A mirror. Not on the wall this time, but freestanding. Tall. Antique. The glass was filthy, fogged with age and dirt, and in front of it, Zach's jacket hung on the back of a wooden chair. No Zach. But there were scratches on the floor, leading to the mirror. Like someone had been dragged toward it. I stepped closer. My breath fogged the glass, and there, faintly, I saw a handprint. On the inside, I wiped the glass, and I saw Zach. Or something that looked like Zach. He was standing in a field. Behind him, trees. A gray sky. His expression was blank, like he wasn't seeing me at all. And then, without warning, he turned and ran, straight toward me. I stumbled back just as the image shattered into static and blur. I ran, all the way back to the house, locked every door, closed every curtain. I didn't sleep. The next day, I did what I should have done the first night. I drove into town, straight to the sheriff's office. Sheriff Donnelly was still there. A gray beard now, a bit more weight around the middle, but still had that same, "don't waste my time" expression he wore when I was a teenager. I told him everything. He nodded slowly. "You said your brother moved in on Dry Creek?" "Yeah," I said. 3 weeks ago. He stood, went to a filing cabinet, pulled something out and laid it on the desk. A photo. Grainy. Old. But I recognized the shape. That same antique mirror. This was from a fire at a church. 1986. Small town outside Lexington. 4 people died. The only thing left standing was that mirror. I looked at him. "Why are you showing me this?" He sighed. "Because it turned up again. 1992. In an orphanage. 3 kids disappeared. Mirror was found in the attic. Again, not burned, not scratched. Like it couldn't be touched." He leaned closer. "You said your brother disappeared." I nodded. "And you saw him? Inside it?" Another nod. He rubbed his face, looked exhausted. "There are stories, Lena. Old ones. About mirrors that don't just reflect. They hold. Like doors." I asked to file a missing persons report. He said yes, but I could tell he didn't think it would matter. Back at the house, everything felt wrong. The silence was thicker, the shadows heavier. I didn't know what else to do. So I went back to the Adair house. One more time, to the mirror. This time, I came prepared. I brought duct tape, a hammer, salt, a camera, and, stupid as it sounds, a Bible from Zach's nightstand. I made a circle of salt around the mirror, taped it to the floor, set the camera to record, and sat, waiting, for hours, nothing. Then, just after midnight, the room went ice cold, and the glass started to ripple, like water. The field appeared again. Zach was there, far away but moving toward me. But something was wrong. His arms hung stiff, his legs too slow, like he was walking against some invisible force. And then I saw them. Others, shapes, people, standing behind him, staring, dozens of them, faces I didn't recognize, men, women, children, and Bethany. They didn't move, but I swear. One by one, they started smiling. The mirror cracked, tiny fractures webbing from the center, and I heard it, Zach's voice, muffled, panicked.
"Don't let it..."
The mirror shattered, and the lights went out. When I woke up, it was morning. The mirror was still there, whole, unbroken. But the video camera, gone. So was the salt, the tape, the Bible, everything, like I had never been there. But that's not the part that scared me. What scared me was when I got home. Zach was in the kitchen, making coffee, like nothing had happened. Zach didn't even look up when I stepped into the kitchen. He was humming, software, tuneless, like he did when we were kids, building Lego castles on the living room floor, like he used to when he was normal.
"You're up early."
His voice was the same, calm, familiar, too familiar. "Zach," I said slowly, "where were you?" He glanced at me, smiled. That same slack-jawed, emotionless thing I'd seen in the mirror.
"I wasn't gone."
I sat down. My legs were shaking under the table. "You didn't come home. I searched for you." He poured me coffee like none of it had happened.
"Must have been a dream."
"No," I whispered. "I went into the Adair house. I saw you, in the mirror. I saw all of them. That stopped him, just for a second. He set the coffee pot down a little too hard.
Don't go back there.
He said, not a warning, a command. That night I stayed in my room with the door locked. I could hear him pacing, again. Long, slow footsteps, never stopping. Floorboard, floorboard, turn. Floorboard, floorboard, turn. I held my breath when I heard him pause outside my door. Silence. And then 3 soft knocks. But he didn't say anything. Just walked away. The next day, I drove to the next town over and bought a new camera. I brought it back to the Adair house. Everything was exactly as I'd left it, except now the mirror was gone. Not broken, not moved, gone. I searched the whole house, every floor, every room, the basement, even the crawl space under the porch. Nothing. Just old dust, decay, and silence. I drove back to town and, on a whim, stopped at the Pinefield Library. It was barely staffed anymore, but an old man named Mason was still there. He'd been running the place since I was a kid. I asked him about Bethany Adair. His face changed. Like I'd said something cursed. She was quiet, he said, but smart. Always checking out books on folklore, mirrors, witchcraft. He leaned forward.
You know she wasn't the first to vanish from that house, right?
I didn't. Not really. He walked me over to the microfiche machine and dug out an article from 1963. Headline, 2 missing after house fire on Dry Creek. A married couple. Lived there before Bethany, went missing. House partially burned. Guess what was the only thing recovered? A mirror, Mason said, confirming my fear. Same one. Antique, black frame, beveled edges. I asked him if anyone had ever lived there peacefully. He laughed, dry and bitter. No one's ever lived there. Only vanished. When I got back, Zach was gone again. No note, no phone, nothing. Just one thing was different this time. The bathroom mirror. It had words written in the condensation. Words I didn't write. He is not your brother. I ran out the door, into the woods, toward the clubhouse. I needed space, clarity, air. Something. The old path was overgrown, but I found it. The trees seemed taller now, twisted and gnarled. The forest darker than it should have been in daylight. And when I reached the clubhouse, I stopped cold. Because someone had been there. The boards were freshly disturbed. The dirt where we'd buried her had been dug into, not deep, but just enough to know someone had found it. A rose sat in the center of the mound. Fresh. Bright red. Still beaded with dew. I backed away slowly. And then I saw him. Zach. Standing at the tree line. Watching. Not moving. I turned and ran. Didn't stop until I got home. The front door was open. Zach was inside, sitting on the couch, smiling.
You okay?
He asked.
You look like you've seen a ghost.
I stared at him. Something in me broke. Who are you? I whispered. He cocked his head.
Don't be dramatic, Lena. You're tired. You need rest.
I backed toward the door. You're not my brother. He stood. Too slow. Too still.
Lena?
He said again. I ran. That night, I stayed in a motel on the edge of town. Didn't sleep. Just watched the door. Every sound made my skin crawl. And in the bathroom mirror, sometime around 3 a.m., I saw Bethany Adair again. Only this time, she was crying. By morning, I knew what I had to do. I wasn't running anymore. I drove straight to the Adair house. No plan, no backup. Just the camera, a crowbar, and the photo I'd printed of the newspaper wall, the one with all the missing faces. I walked straight to the hallway, to the door that used to lead to the mirror. It was closed now, but something told me the mirror wasn't gone, just moved. I kicked it open. Inside, the room had changed. The corkboard was gone. The desk, too. In its place was a single object, the mirror. But different now. Bigger. Standing tall against the back wall, polished clean. No mold, no cracks. The frame glistening like it had just been carved. I stared at it. My reflection stared back. But behind me, in the glass, was the field again. The gray sky, the trees, and then movement. A figure. Zach. I didn't look away. This time I was ready. He stepped closer, visible only in the mirror. Still stiff, still wrong. But then, something changed. His mouth moved.
Lena.
And the voice, muffled, strained, came from the glass.
I'm still in here.
I took a step back.
You have to break it.
He said, and behind him, dozens of others. Bethany, the couple from the fire, Thomas Red. More. They weren't screaming. They were watching, waiting. Then something else stepped into view. The fake Zach. The one in my house. The one that had smiled at me, cooked my coffee, watched me sleep. It moved slowly toward the real Zach, put a hand on his shoulder, and Zach screamed. The glass warped, cracked. Whispers filled the room, words I couldn't understand, and then the fake Zach turned, not toward Zach, toward me. I raised the crowbar and swung. The first hit bounced. The glass didn't even scratch. The second, nothing. But on the third, crack. A spiderweb of fractures bloomed from the center. Inside the glass, the fake Zach screamed, not in pain, in rage. I hit it again, until the cracks turned to breaks, and the breaks turned to shards. The glass exploded inward, not outward, like it was sucking itself in. And then, silence. The mirror was gone. Only pieces remained. And the room, empty. I left. Drove until I ran out of gas. Called a friend from college. Told her I needed to stay with her for a while. I didn't tell her why. Didn't sleep for 2 days. And on the third, I got a text. From Zach.
Where are you?
I didn't respond. I waited. An hour later, I got another. I blocked the number. The next day, I went to the police. Told them everything. Left out the mirror, the spirits, the impossible. Just told them Zach had disappeared, that I believed someone was impersonating him. They searched, found no trace of Zach, or the mirror, or the Adair house. The house was gone, demolished, the plot marked unsafe for development. No one remembered Zach. Not the gas station clerk who sold him cigarettes. Not the old lady next door. Not even Sheriff Donnelly. To them, Zach Maris never existed. But I remember. And so does my reflection. Because now, every mirror I pass, it lags. Just a little. Just enough. And sometimes, I see a face behind me. Bethany, Zach, the others. Watching. Still trapped. And once, just once, I saw myself. Smiling. But I wasn't.